Hello and welcome to another video. Today I am bringing you 10 recommendations for the autumn season, for fall. It's getting into the colder weather, we're putting on our sweatshirts, we're hunkering down under a blanket with a fireplace on blast, and we're ready. We're ready for all the kind of spooky or deep or dark or fantastical vibes. So today I have 10 recommendations for you, and I hope you can get something out of this video. Also, if you have any recommendations for me, leave them linked in the comments because I love getting fall recommendations. I love getting recommendations in general. So let me know what your favorite books are to pick up in the fall. I have everything here from like contemporary to fantastical, so to horror. So I'm going to start one that is deep, dark, emotional. It is My Dark Vanessa. I really, really want you to look up trigger warnings for this book. This is not an easy book to read. I'm probably due a reread at this point. The writing in this is just so well done. So essentially, in this, we follow Vanessa, who in her youth was taken advantage of by a teacher, and we follow her as an adult as she comes to terms with the trauma of her past. And this story is a story of the survivor of the battle of mental health, of the brainwashing and the subsequent unbrainwashing of trauma. This is just one of the hardest books I've ever read. Um, all he did was fall in love with me, and the world turned him into a monster. Vanessa Y was 15 years old when she first had sex with her English teacher. She is now 32, and in the storm of allegations against powerful men in 2017, the teacher, Jacob Strain, has just been accused of sexual abuse by another former student. Vanessa is horrified by the news because she is quite certain that the relationship she had with Strain wasn't abuse, it was love. She was sure of that. Forced to rethink her past, to revisit everything that happened, Vanessa has to redefine the great love story of her life, her great sexual awakening, as rape. Now she must deal with the possibility that she might be a victim, and just one of many. I have read this book twice now, and it is one that never doesn't get me. Like, I cry every time I read this book. I really do. It's just so hard hitting and emotional. Um, I don't know if there's anything, maybe from like the start and bits, that I could read to you about the writing. Because the writing in here, the author done just an amazing job. I leave the room too, but I'm not part of them. They're the same, but I'm changed. I'm unhuman now, untethered. While they walk across campus, earthbound and ordinary, I soar, trailing a maple red comet tail. I'm no longer myself. I am no one. I'm a red balloon caught in the burrows of a tree. I'm nothing at all. Oh, this book is a hard read. Please do not read this if you please do not read this unless you look up trigger warnings. That's all I'm going to say. This is a really hard book to read, but it also fits in with the autumn vibe because it's dark, it's emotional. I get up all in my feels in autumn. I want to curl up with a book and a very cozy setting and just feel. And this book makes you feel. This book is raw, it is passionate, it is very well written, and I do recommend this. But again, trigger warnings. I'm going to be a broken record with that because I don't want anyone to ever, you know, get get triggered from a recommendation of mine. So I really hope that you take me saying that as just something that I'm trying to say to protect you because I don't want to hurt anyone with any of these recommendations. Another book that you should look up trigger warnings for, Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I just read this. This has been on my radar for a long time. Everyone talks about it. I thought, it can't be that bad. This is a really, really dark thriller. This is probably the darkest thriller that I've ever read. So, in this, we follow Claire, who is living the best life imaginable. She has the perfect house, the perfect husband, everything seems to be going right for her. And then you follow her sister Lydia, who has a child and is a recovering addict who, is fighting her own battles. And when Claire's husband is stabbed or mugged in an alleyway, Claire falls apart, but not before she falls apart all over again when she finds the wealth of secrets that her husband has been hiding. She then reconnects with her sister Lydia, and together they uncover the web of lies and the downright disgusting things that her husband has been a part of. This will be stuck in my brain. This lives in my brain rent free because it was dark. At times it was gruesome. Like, this is the first time a thriller's went there for me, and I enjoyed it. Which I feel weird about saying because, like, the content in this is not necessarily enjoyable content, but it was really well written. It was, the twists and turns, even though some of them were predictable, were definitely something I wanted to flip the page to find out. So if you're looking for like a spooky horror book that's not quite like, I feel like take this with a pinch of salt because I've only just dabbled my foot into some like extreme horror or like darker books than what I usually read. And I feel like this is the thrillers, like, this would be in a genre of thrillers that are not domesticated, that are, a bit more out there on the thriller spectrum. Like, you have horror and then you have extreme horror. I think this deserves like a subcategory all on its own where you have thriller and then you have this. So if you're looking for something that's going to get you all up disturbed, this is a good choice. And finally, in my little thriller contemporary category, we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This is my favorite Riley Sager book. This follows Maggie, who lived her whole life in the shadow of her dad's book. Her and her family moved to Bainbury Hall, and her dad wrote a book about the hauntedness of this house. But 25 years later, her dad passed on, and she returns to this house under strict warnings not to, and together you kind of uncover what is going on. Is this house haunted? Is this story all like fiction made up so that he could sell a book? Like, you do not know what is going on in this book. I also think this gives really good autumn vibes because you get chapters from the father's book about the Bainbury Hall being haunted, and those chapters give very much haunted house vibes, very much like, spooky Halloween movie. And I think this is just perfect for autumn. This is one of my favorite Riley Sagers, so of course I'm going to recommend this. But also, I do feel like it fits in with this season very well, simply because it gives you that haunted house. Is it supernatural? Is it not? What is going to happen? Who's involved? Like, it very much builds this gothic atmospheric, bone chilling setting, this atmosphere, and that just works perfectly for this season. And I do recommend this one. Now getting into some fantastical books. First off, I have here The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I love this. V. Schwab done a brilliant job with this book. Um, I just love this book. In this, we follow Addie, who decides to pray to the gods after dark, which she was specifically told not to do. And she does this anyway to get away from a marriage she does not want to be a part of. She gets her wish, but in doing this, she now will never be remembered by anyone. She got out of the situation she wanted to be out of, but moving forward in life, no one will ever remember Addie. So she lives her whole entire existence not being remembered until she meets one person that remembers her. The second person that remembers her, technically. This book has the gothic vibes. It also has that kind of whimsical, magical feel to it. I don't quite know how to explain this apart from this book has that kind of it factor in the lyrical writing and the characters, the way the story's told. Even though this is a fantasy book, it really makes you think, like, what will you be remembered for? And I just love Addie. I love Henry. I love Luke. I love all the characters in this. Even the characters you aren't meant to like, I like. And I just feel like it's just such a beautiful story. Here we have Adi praying to the gods after dark. And I think it's the um I believe this is Luke, to be fair. Um, but yeah, this is just if you're looking for something that is whimsical and magical and lyrically written to the point where you feel like that kind of like I don't know how to explain what I mean. Like if you just want something that is going to hit you in the feels and make you go, oh, and ah, I don't know what that was. If you want something that is going to hit you in your feels, I highly suggest picking this one up. The next one I have here is another V.E. Schwab. It is Galen. If you're looking for something a little like more, this is dark, but it's more on the fun side of dark. Like with Adi, you kind of, there's a lot of questions that are deep and soul searching, whereas this is just your typical like not run of the mill because V. Schwab writes brilliant stuff. This is like your typical haunted kind of house person story. So in this, we follow Olivia Pryor, and after her stint at the Mercilins School for Girls, she gets invited to her family's estate, Galen. But Galen isn't all it seems to be, and she ends up in this web of just dark, twisted secrets, and she has to unravel them in order to survive. And I just think if you're looking for something, let's see if I can, like, it has pictures throughout. If you're looking for something that is fun and fast paced and keeps you guessing, keeps you on your toes, this is definitely something that I would recommend. I read this in a day and had so much fun with it. I just feel like this is, one of those haunted house stories where you just pick it up and you devour it and then you finish it and you're done. It's one of those that you will have a great time with. And yeah, like I don't know what else to say about this. B. Schwab writes amazing books and you should read them all. Next here we have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This took me by surprise. I did not know how I was going to feel about this book, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This is more like a character study book. In this, we follow one of Dracula's wives as she writes their love story, but this love story in all, you know, blood parties and good times. This story is toxic and at times abusive, and the characters, like, this is more of a character study than anything else. There is plot things that happen, but I was really in it for the characters. Like, I was in it for all of the characters. Look at this. This is just absolutely stunning. Now that I've read this artwork just screams to me. I highly recommend this if you're looking for something not really plot driven. You're looking for something to connect with characters and connect with people that just want to love, in that warm kind of environment of fall, being all cozy and just wanting a romance that isn't quite what you expect, and something that is going to surprise you while still being like not predictable, because this book isn't predictable, but without being like plot twist after plot twist. So yeah, I highly recommend this. Also, the writing was really well done and really fabulous. I have some things tabbed, but I find it hard to not spoil things. Even loneliness, hollow and cold, becomes familiar. It starts to feel like a friend. What else have we got here? I hope sometimes that when I do read these, that like it kind of makes you want to pick it up because you've heard something that strikes a nerve. Um, You turned a strong-minded girl into a pulsing wound of need. I never knew the meaning of the word enthralled before I know you. Love it. Love it. Another book we have here that is a recent read is God Killer by Hanah Ker. I always get her and Hannah Witten confused. Um, this book took me by surprise. I do feel like it could be a little bit longer. I feel like this book and the second book could have probably been combined into one, and it would have made a brilliant first book in the trilogy. I think it's going to be a trilogy. In this, we follow Kissin, who is a god killer. She has a traumatic childhood involving gods and her family, so she now kills gods for coin. And together she gets joined on an unlikely adventure with a little noble girl who has a little god attached to her, a god of white lies. And kissing becomes, attached to finding a safe space for this girl and trying not to kill her little god. This was like an action adventure. It did take its time to get to the action, but when it did deliver. As I said, I feel like this could be a bit longer, but if you're looking for something that is, you know, very much like found friendship and um like adventure hiking, this would be your big. I don't know where I was going with that. Essentially, they take on a journey, so it is very much an adventure story, and just this vibe, like this just screams autumn, no? Like, yeah, because the book screams autumn. Where they end up, where they go, how the world is described just screams fall season. And yeah, I highly recommend this if you're looking for a fun, fast paced adventure story that follows found friendship. The next book I have here is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. This was something I read on a whim, and I'm so glad I did. This is just something that fits into fall so well, and I just love it. I just love this book. In this, we follow Mika Moon, who is a witch, and witches are never to be discovered or found out. But she gets a message. She does like this witchy thing on her social medias, which a lot of people do, and she's like, no one's going to think I'm an actual witch. Well, little does she know someone is watching and sees her real magic, and they ask for her help, beg for her help, and she goes in order to do this job. This was not what I was expecting, but also everything that I wanted. It's kind of low stakes in a sense. It's low stakes fantasy where you kind of know like what's going to happen, but the journey there is just so worth it. The characters were well written. The whimsical aspect of this book was just so nice. Like the magic portrayed, like the magic system and the way the magic was portrayed just made me feel like I was, you know, however years old watching Halloween Town or Charmed or, when I got a bit older, Practical Magic. Like it gave me all of those vibes in this book. Practical Magic's a little bit darker than this, but also the family aspect of Practical Magic comes through in this. Halloween Town, the like whimsical side of Halloween Town came through in this. Like I read this book and it just made me feel like a kid again. It gave me that, nostalgia, that feeling when I was younger of watching these films and these shows. And I will never stop raving about this book because I bloody loved it and it just gave me all the vibes. And the next book I have, of course, you cannot fault me for this. Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. Everyone knows this. This is the perfect fall read for me. I've read this twice now. I still haven't read the sequel. Don't come at me. I'm planning on reading it. You know what? I got so hyped for the sequel, and then when it came out, I went into a slump, and I've just been scared to pick it up ever since because I'm still really anticipating in it, but it's just I kind of got like put off because everyone had read it so quickly and I was worried about spoilers and I was worried about, you know, reading it quick enough, and then I just stressed myself out, and I do not like reading Sarah J Maas books under any kind of pressure. I like to just do what I want um with them. Of course, I'm going to put a Sarah J Maas on this list. I am a huge fan, and this book, one of my favorites. I still need to read the sequel. Don't at me. I know I got overwhelmed and didn't end up reading it, but I will read it before the third one comes out. And I mean, I guess it's not a bad thing that I haven't read it because now I'm going to read it closer to the third one's release. So everything will be clear in my mind. This follows Bryce, who is half human, half fae, and something happens that makes her need to find the truth. So she has to team up with Hunt, who is just a fine piece. And together they journey onwards to find the truth. and they have like, sexual tension and issues that arise within their friendship, and also with their mission, because their mission isn't just straightforward. Also, Bryce is a badass. If you're looking for something that is going to give you, you know, like, it's going to take you a while to read, so you can hunker down and spend a long weekend reading this, get all cozy and just immerse yourself. If you're looking for something with a badass main character, Bryce is it. A very nice um piece of eye candy is also in here. There is, side characters that are just so adorable that you can't help but love. I cried when I read this. I'm not ashamed of that. I cried at the end of this. That's fine. If you're looking for something, again, like Adi LaRue, that's going to get you all up in your feels and feeling things that you don't know what to do with, this is one. This is one that's going to do that to you. And of course, I have to recommend a Sergio Mas. And the final book I have here is actually a horror. I am new to reading horror. I only just started reading it in the last year. I'm a huge horror movie fan, but I never really picked up horror books. But I have started branching out recently. And the one I'm going to recommend to you is um, Gone to See the Riverman, Forgotten Christopher Trina, I think is the author. I read this for my Disturbing Books video. And even though I only gave this a 3.5 star, I do think it's a really good one for this season because it has all the staples of autumn. This follows a woman who is in communication with a serial killer, and he asks her a favor. Now you know nothing's going to come up well of asking a serial, like, doing a favor from a serial killer. So she he asks her to travel and go see the Riverman and bring like a key to the Riverman, and everything will set itself right. Nothing's going to end up right in this situation. The characters, this is a really hard story. Again, look up trigger warnings. I would say My Dark Vanessa, Pretty Girls, and Gone to See the Riverman should all be looked at before you pick it up. And this one especially, but all of them especially, actually, they're all really dark, and deserve to be well warned. Um, the characters in this, none of them are likable. Well, one of them is actually likable, which is unfortunate, and you'll know why if you've read this or have are going to read this. Um, the atmosphere is what really brings this into the autumn for me. They are hiking through this river, and it's all doom and gloom and kind of twisty, and you're not quite sure what's going on until the very end. So yeah, I really recommend this. I really recommend trigger warnings. But if you're looking for that atmospheric, scary book, this is going to be it for you. Okay, and that is all I have for you today. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, great week, great weekend, whenever the hell you're watching this. Remember to stay safe, happy, and healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.